Clenching his chest, rocking back and forth, he felt like giving it all up. Sitting in his car, staring at the concrete pole in front of him, he wondered, how fast do I have to drive into that pole to end it all? This wasn't an ordinary man. This was a strong, strapping firefighter. This was my husband, the father of my children. By the end of this talk, we will have lost 10 lives to suicide. The World Health Organization reports that for every person we lose every 40 seconds, there are at least another 20 who will try. Vincent used to say that people who think of suicide are weak. And there he sat, contemplating it himself. What Vincent and I didn't know is that we had been trying to navigate the devastating ripple effects of post-traumatic stress as a family. And he had sought refuge in his car after being embarrassed after yet another blowout at home. I'm very thankful that Vincent chose to come home that night to us. He chose us rather than taking on that concrete pole. And as I held him, he cried, and he described the children that he had recovered and talked about the burnt smell stuck in his nose, compounded by the guilt of lashing out at us at home. I wiped away his tears, and I asked him, "What stopped you? What stops you from taking your life?" And he said, you and the kids. I can't imagine you guys finding me. What Vincent didn't realize was that I too had had thoughts of suicide during very critical times in my life. Only my cause for pause was not as noble as his. My cause for pause was I was too afraid I'd do it wrong, screw it up halfway, and have to live with that. Imagine a 10-year-old straight-A student, class clown by day, an emotional wreck by night, holding my stomach night after night in agony over not feeling like I was enough and not living up to all the expectations and demands of me. I used to pray to God, "God, please, just don't let me wake up tomorrow. Please." Fast forward to young adulthood, I found myself again trying to pick up the pieces of what my life was, all crumbled to the floor, discovering a cheating partner and having to walk away from a business that I had birthed. So again, finding myself in that position of not yet, again, being enough. Just because I didn't want to live that life didn't mean I wanted to die. What I wanted was the pain to stop. Doesn't it make sense that because our brains are wired to avoid pain, that thoughts of dying might cross our minds when we're going through the worst times of our lives? But yet, we stigmatize it. And then when we lose someone to suicide, we'll ask the question, why did he do it? What was she thinking? What could I have done to help? Well, what if I could share with you a question today, right now, that could save a life? Would you have the courage to ask it? Having what's your cause for pause conversations opens up the possibility for us to create a world where we can be turning towards each other during hard times instead of withdrawing into our darkest corners. Together, we could be having courage and opening up opportunities to share our vulnerability so that our cause for pause can not only be creating deeper connections with the persons that we're talking to, but also to allow our brains to hear it out loud so that it associates our cause for pause, our reasons for living, so that our brains can recall it in the moments that we need it the most. Globally, the suicide rates are rising, so we need to do something now. So if you're in this room, and if you've ever contemplated suicide in the past, or perhaps even right now, know that you're not alone. Know that you can find your cause for pause, find somebody to share it with, and say it out loud. Because together, we can create a world of deeper connection and allow our questions and listening and being more connected, allow us to have good lives together. All we need to conquer the darkness is the courage to ask the questions like, what's your cause for pause? Thank you.